to BIMS TV. I'm Renae Brodie, and this is BIMS Bites. Today, I will be biting into the thermoregulatory behaviors of marine invertebrates. Animals that live in the intertidal have to be really tough because they face a lot of challenges. In this area where the ocean meets the land, at high tide, water covers their habitat. But at low tide, they're exposed. So in summer, those environments can get really hot. In winter, it can get really cold. And if it starts to rain, they will be suddenly exposed to fresh water. And so on a daily basis, they experience big fluctuations in temperature, salinity, and how much they are drying out. Many of the animals that live in this environment are invertebrates. Invertebrates do not have backbones. They might have hard parts like the carapace on shrimp or crabs, or the shells on scallops or snails, but they do not have backbones. There are about 30 groups of invertebrates, and some of these you may already be quite familiar with. Worms, for example, mollusks, which include snails, octopi, mussels, clams. Arthropods are spiders, insects, crustaceans, insects. And cnidarians include animals like sea anemones and corals. So these are just a few examples that you might already know about. The invertebrates that live in the intertidal, like all invertebrates, are ectotherms. And what that means is that they have to use their environment in order to keep their body temperature in a comfortable range. So for example, on this slide, you can see some snails. They are exposed at low tide and they have moved into a crevice between some rocks where it's cooler and wetter than it is in other parts of that habitat. And so they're using their behaviors, finding a place to go in order to stay cool. The crab on the other picture, is using a similar strategy. So it's found a place that is near some rocks where it's cooler and wetter, where it can take refuge during low tide. My group works on an intertidal invertebrate that is a fiddler crab. And this species is Manuka pugnax. You find it all along the east coast of the US. And it has a number of strategies for staying cool on hot days. It can find shade, it can stay wet if there's a breeze out and it manages to keep its body wet by going into little pools of water. It can use evaporative cooling to stay cool. And males have a large claw that they use in combat with other males and also for attracting females. And it turns out that this claw is also used for thermoregulation. So they are able to draw heat from the main part of the body into that claw and they stay cooler that way. The behavior that we're most interested in is their ability to retreat to burrows for cooling down. They dig burrows and they use them for a lot of different reasons, including hiding from predators. But it turns out that those burrows are really important on hot days for cooling down. Here is a few pictures of my lab working out in the field. I work with undergraduate students at Mount Holyoke College in Massachusetts. And this is one of our field sites in Georgia. You can see in the lower picture, there's a patch of mud, and those open patches often have a lot of crabs in them, the species especially that we're working with. And those are great places to be for feeding and then also for being seen if you want to find a mate, but they get really hot. So we found, for example, that those patches are hotter than what the crabs could survive if they were forced to stay there. But in fact, the crabs use those patches, but they retreat frequently to burrows to cool down so that they don't overheat and die. This is just showing some of our portable lab equipment. In these pictures, what you see are the equipment that we use to measure oxygen consumption rates so that we can measure how much energy the crabs are using at different temperatures. It turns out that that's really important. If they have to use a lot of energy, then they have less left over for reproduction, which is what you need if you want to have crabs continue to stay in a particular area. They need to be able to replenish themselves. And so we're interested in how much energy they use at different temperatures and then how they use their behaviors to manage those body temperatures. On this slide, you see a graph. And what you have here on the bottom is time of day. And as you go from left to right, you're going from morning to morning and afternoon again. It shows about 2 days. On the side there, you see a temperature range. And so as it goes up, it's getting hotter. And there are 3 lines. The red and the blue line show surface and air temperature, and you can see that that changes a lot over the course of a day. It goes up and down quite a lot. The gray line is the burrow temperature. So we measure these temperatures in the field using little data loggers. And so you can see at the hottest times of the day, the burrows are a good place to go if you need to cool down, and the crabs definitely do that. Why are we interested in this? We're really interested in the thermoregulatory behaviors of invertebrates, and especially of this crab species, because this is how they're going to contend with climate change. They can go down and cool in the burrows, but there are trade-offs. If they go down in the burrows, they will not be able to feed or to engage in courtship. And so we're interested in those trade-offs and how much time they have to spend in burrows in order to stay cool. What we find for fiddler crabs will also be applicable for other marine invertebrates occupying the intertidal. Thank you, and feel free to contact me if you have any questions. And thank you for tuning in. Please follow, like, and subscribe to Black in Marine Sciences. Thank you.